The next session is going to be 5x your ROI with these features that you probably aren't using. So this is not necessarily the new stuff that we've been talking about. These are little tips and hacks that Rachel knows from literally 4 years as a customer success manager here. Rachel was on the CX team for the last 4 years. She just moved into strategic partnerships and has so much knowledge of working with customers on just generally the little things that make the biggest differences. So in just a moment, Rachel will be hopping on and she'll take you through this session. And actually, if you tuned into Playbook last year, you'll remember that Rachel is who did our first season of the Trainual Extreme Home Makeover. And so that session, backed by popular demand, will not have Rachel on it this year. She switched up her shows. She's bought by another network, contracted to the ROI conversation. But yeah, Rachel is the one who led that last year. That is on our YouTube channel too. So if when we get to the Extreme Makeover, move that bus side of our session today, if you loved it, you can go back to the Trainual YouTube channel and just look for last year's playbook. It's in a playlist on our channel, and you can watch all of the sessions that we did for our Insider Day last year, including Rachel's session then. But Rachel, are you ready to hop on?
Thank you so much for everybody joining me today. I'm so excited to be here. My name is Rachel, as I'm sure you have probably heard already, and I am the Senior Strategic Partnership Manager over here at Trainual. For almost 4 years, I worked on the customer success team, helping customers one-on-one to ramp up and optimize their Trainual. And I've actually seen some of my customers on here in the chat today. I'm so excited to see you. So thank you so much for joining. If we have worked together, give me a shout out. I love to see a familiar face on here. But while we're getting started, I wanted to talk through this because a lot of us are already using and loving Trainual, but I wanted to point out 5 features that you may or may not be using that I absolutely love. And throughout my time working with my customers, I've seen these features bring so much value, which is why I want everybody to know about them. So the good news is by the end of this session, you will be able to use these features to level up your training and have your team more engaged than ever with Trainual. So let's go ahead and get into it real quick before we do a little bit of admin work. This is going to be a lot of information. So if you have questions, post them in the chat. I've seen everybody's been really good about that today, but I have a whole team working behind the scenes to help answer those questions. So that way we'll make sure that your answers are in there. All right, so first up with our actual features today. The first one I want to touch on is going to be our content libraries. So content libraries are a very fun one because these actually came about as a direct result of customer feedback. So what your content libraries are they're really going to give you the opportunity for your team to kind of choose their own learning path and have a little bit more visibility into the business as a whole. This is really awesome because it's mutually beneficial to you as the manager because you know what your people are interested in, and your people actually have the ability to learn more about other jobs and departments within the company without ever taking time out of your day. So the really cool thing is that if we open these content libraries up, it allows your team to request access to specific subjects, and then the managers or the admins can approve or deny those requests. So I've talked a lot about it. Let's see what this actually looks like in action. So the first thing that I want to show you is actually what our general user will see before our content libraries are opened up. So let me share my screen real quick so everybody can get a good idea of what that is looking like. Okay, so this is exactly what my general user is going to see today. You can see they have their assigned content, they have people on the side, but they really only have the access to go through their assigned content. So if we're looking at this and then we want to open up our content libraries, what we can actually do is pop back over to our admin mode and then turn on our content libraries from there. Let's actually pop over to what our admin is going to see on here. So that way we can show you what the difference looks like for the admin actually turning it on, and then for your general user to actually be able to go through and request access to that content. So I'm going to pop into my admin view here so that way we can actually turn those on for our users. All right, so now we're seeing our admin view here. So you'll notice that on your admin view, you do have some more options over here on the left. So to turn on our content libraries, let's pop down here. We'll give it a scroll and head over to our settings. And then we're going to scroll about like 3/4 of the way down the page, and we'll see this option here that says Publish Content Libraries. So we'll want to turn this on, and that is how we'll give our people access to actually request various subjects that they might not have necessarily been assigned to. So if we turn this on, you'll get your notification, account settings have been updated. And so now what I actually want to do is show you how that changed what my general user is actually seeing. So now we're back into my general user. If I reload this page with my content libraries turned on, you'll notice some differences here. So now you see the company and the policies and the processes. But to actually request access to this content, we'll pop over into our processes, and you can see what is assigned to you. So I have access to all of these. But if I want to learn a little bit more about the business and a little bit more about some processes here, I can actually see the subjects that are not assigned to me, and I can request access to these. When I do that, that request is automatically sent over to an admin or a manager in the account, and that admin or manager has the access to approve or deny that request to give your people more access and more visibility into what's going on at the company. All right, so we've talked about content libraries. I want to get into our second one. So the second one today is going to be rich media. I'm sure one of the reasons that you got Trainual was to not create that version of that boring binder that you have on your shelf, right? So here's the thing. People don't engage at stuff. They engage with stuff. And that is exactly why we want to add rich media. We want people to engage with our content. So adding rich media can be done in so many different ways directly in your account. Most people don't even know that we actually have a direct integration with Giphy. We have a full stock photo library ready and waiting for you. And we offer 700 different embed options to keep your content fresh and fun and engaging. So maybe you have a step, it's getting a little text heavy. No problem. Let's add a video instead. Maybe you have an introduction that feels like it could use a little bit of love. Perfect place to add a GIF. And let's take a policy, for example. Policies aren't always the most fun information, so this is the perfect time to add an image from our stock photo library. So that way it's still kind of breaking up that content that your end user is seeing. So I want to show you what some of these actually look like here. If I pop over into my admin view, I'll show you what some of the editing on these actual rich media options look like. So if we pop over here, I am going to head into my processes, and I'm thinking, maybe account handoff process needs some love. Maybe my intro that I was talking about a little bit earlier, we want to make it a little bit more fun, a little bit more engaging. So we have tons of different options here. So the first one I like to point out is this quick embed. You have so many different embed options at your fingertips waiting for you to use them. So if I scroll down, I can see a bunch of different providers listed in here. And then I also talked a little bit about our Giphy integration and our stock photo library as well. So those are super easy to find right up here in your text editor. We'll click on this more rich button. We can add a GIF. Maybe we want in a working GIF, right? Something that says, hey, you're still at work. This one looks fun. We're typing away. Now it's a little bit more engaging for our people with just a couple clicks. And finally, the last one that I talked about is our stock photo library. That button's right here, and it works very similar to our Giphy integration in that you can search for whatever you need, add it directly to your account by just clicking that plus sign. So we definitely want to start using some of these. If you haven't used them and you want somebody to just kind of walk you through what that looks like or talk a little bit more about when to use these or when not to use these, we actually host this really awesome training. It's so good. We named it Super Awesome Training Design every single week. Sean, our senior success coach, hosts that every week. So if you want to learn a little bit more about that, he will give you all the ins and outs of rich media and engaging content. Okay, so my third feature for you today, you've heard about it a lot today, but I really want to dive deep, and that is going to be roles and responsibilities. So roles and responsibilities have been around for a long time, and as you heard Chris mention earlier, we are releasing our new groups feature soon, but the good news is roles will work exactly the same within your groups, but you'll have even more flexibility to add responsibilities by teams and by departments and by location. So you're really going to be able to level this up and give more visibility to every single person in your account. So I want to talk a little bit more about specifically responsibilities as they relate to your roles, because what this will do is give more visibility into who's doing what. Because at the end of the day, roles and responsibilities are one of the most powerful tools in your Trainual account. This is where everything really starts to come together. Your roles are your people's job function, and you can see the responsibilities attached to that job function, and you can see who's in charge of the material that teaches you to complete those responsibilities. So you can see that everything's really starting to come full circle here. The beauty of connecting your responsibilities to your roles is that your people get more visibility into the business as a whole, and the responsibilities attached to a role are visible to every single employee at the company. So if I want to know who's in charge of, let's say, planning company events, I can go through and see exactly who is in charge of that. Responsibilities are available to your people on the org chart and on the role chart. So it's a super useful tool to ensure everyone's on the same page of who's in charge of doing what over here. So let's take a quick peek at what that looks like. All right, so we are going to pop back into our account here, and I am going to head over to my roles. So when I look at my roles, I can see my list of roles, but I'm going to use Success Coach as the example today because this is kind of the visual of everything coming full circle, right? So I can see this is my actual title, this is my job function, these are my responsibilities, and then my subjects down here explain to that role exactly how to complete all of these responsibilities. So it's super, super simple to add them. Right now, you can just add them one off, but as Chelsea demoed earlier, you won't even have to do that. We'll have AI to help you add all of these responsibilities as well. And then for your end users, when they're on the org chart, they will actually be able to click into an individual to see what that individual's responsibilities are. Not only that, they can hop over to their role chart as well and see what a specific role is in charge of doing. So again, it's giving so much more visibility to your people, and it's really starting to connect everything so everybody knows who's doing what. Maybe somebody's interested in a new position. They can see the responsibilities that are attached to that specific position. So there's no more guessing games of who's in charge of doing what at the company. All right, so we're getting close here. We're getting over to number 4. And number 4 that I want to talk about today is tests. And I know when we hear the word test, we all get a little bit testy, if you will. But I promise this is not going to bring back those days of sitting at your desk and filling out that 50-page Scantron that all made us a little bit nervous. Test and Trainual are actually fun. They are not like that at all. So here's the thing. Why would we ever teach somebody something and not find out if they've actually learned it? If we're going to spend the time to create this content, we want to know that our people have actually learned this content and really absorbed it. So that's where our tests are going to come in, because we know that the best way to learn is to teach. So let's give your end users an opportunity to teach the system what they've learned. It keeps them engaged because we've talked about how we engage with stuff and not at stuff. And it'll give them the opportunity to teach that new information that they've just learned. So super, super helpful tool. This is also how you can help to keep your people accountable for retaining that information. As an admin, you have so much flexibility with tests, which we'll get into in just a second. And to take it even further, tests are super fun, which I know you thought are words that you'd never hear together, but tests are really fun in Trainual, I promise, because they're so easily customizable and you can really make them whatever works best for you at your company. So I want to talk about a little bit of a pro tip we have over here at Trainual, and this is actually how we use tests internally, but we never want to see that long, scary Scantron type test at the end of a subject, right? We're huge fans of micro-learning. So what we like to see is shorter tests more often, maybe 2-3 questions, keep it a little bit engaging, keep it low pressure for your end users, but give them the opportunity to quickly teach that information because they'll retain it so much better. So let's look at what it looks like to create a test as an admin and how we can add some of those to our account. So we'll hop back in here. I want to head over to my processes. And that account handoff process I was just looking at, maybe I just want to add a quick little knowledge check. So we'll do a knowledge check in here, and we'll just go ahead and click create test. From there, I just created my new test. It was that easy. And then it's so fun to add different questions in here. You have so many customization options. And if I click this quick add question button, I can start typing my question directly in here. We talked about rich media earlier. You can add all of the same rich media to your test question. So if you want a video question, you can totally do that. I've actually worked with customers that were like, hey, it's less fun for me to type out this question. Maybe I'll just record a quick video actually asking the question, and then they can answer it from the video. So you have so many different options of fun ways to actually create these tests, and you have no limitations on how many test questions you have. If you want many answer choices, you can add as many answer choices as you want. And if you're thinking, hey, I want them to do a little bit more than just click a button, we got you there too. What we can actually do is add a written response in here. And written response is an absolutely beautiful tool because you have so many different choices here. You can add a fill in the blank and make the minimum word count 1. So they know that, hey, I just have to fill in that blank. If you want it to be like a minimum word count of 15, perfect. Says to me as your general user, okay, well, this is a short answer question. Maybe you want the minimum word count to be, I don't know, 150. Short essay question, short essay, but still an essay question nonetheless. So again, you have so much flexibility in how you can actually use these. I've seen people use tests as surveys. I've seen people use them as feedback forms on the training. There's really no limitation to what you can do with this. So make sure that you're adding some of these to really keep your end users engaged and make sure that everybody is teaching what they've just learned so they retain it a little bit better. Okay, well, we're getting close here. So the fifth one that I want to talk about today is send invite later. And send invite later is very important to me because it's been around for a very long time, but it's one of those things, it's kind of like that selective vision thing. It's always been there, but unless you're looking for it, you probably haven't paid a lot of attention to it. So send invite later is so powerful when you're setting up and organizing your people. So I kind of want to give an example of how this works, right? So when you hire somebody new, you start that onboarding before they've ever even had their first day. Maybe you get their email set up and you get their desk ready to go. Maybe you get computers and devices sent, or they show up to the office, because everything is done before that person's first day to ensure that when they show up on day one, they have a successful first day. You don't want them to show up with no computer and say, hey, you got to screw your desk together. You really want them to be set up for success on that first day. And that is really what send invite later is going to do for your Trainual account. So what it actually allows you to do is add your people to the system, add them to the correct groups, the correct roles, maybe add them to the correct teams. Maybe you want to add a template for their bio and fully build out that person's account before they've ever even accepted an invite to Trainual. So this gives you so much flexibility in building out that people side because you can actually see exactly what they will see before they ever even log in. So you can see what you've assigned to them, the order that they're going to see it. If you want to see what they're going to see in their bio, you can do all of that. You have so much flexibility here. So I want to show you where this feature actually lives because everybody has access to it. So if I pop down here, I am just going to head over to my Manage Users page, and I want to show you both sides of how this works. So if I'm trying to set up somebody new, I can pop into this invite team or add teammate. And when I open this up, same add teammate that you've seen, but we actually have this little checkbox here. So if I turn this off, that is when you're getting the flexibility to actually add their roles, add their permission levels, maybe add them to the team, add who they report to before they've ever accepted an invite. So when you have that unchecked and click add, they are in your account. You have full control over that, but they don't know about it. You haven't sent them the invite yet. So again, you can set everything up on the front end. And let's say you added them, you didn't send the invite yet, and you're like, okay, it's their first day. I'm ready to go. Let's get them added to the account. What you can actually do here, I wanted to create an example so I can see I have Rach over here. She's added. I have her roles. I have her job title. Everything's looking good in here, but she hasn't been invited yet. So to actually add her to the account, it is so simple. All I'll do is pop over to my dots, click send invite, and voila. Now she is invited to the account and she is getting that invite sent directly to her, and everything's already set up on the back end. So you as the admin or manager know that you've already set her up for success. All right, well, that was my 5, and I know we planned for 5, but we have a little bit of extra time. It's the fatal flaw of talking too fast. So I actually want to run through one more feature that I feel like we need to be using a little bit more because it's so important in your business. And that feature, so this is extra feature number 6 today, that is actually going to be our e-signatures. So I want to talk through e-signatures because it's a fully integrated feature directly into your policies section for all scale plans that actually allows you to add a legally binding signature directly to the topic of any individual policy. It's so easy to set up because all you have to do is enable e-signature directly on a topic, which I will show you in a moment. And then anybody that is assigned to that individual topic will have to go through and actually sign that content. So you'll have access to view any signature that has actually been completed directly in the account. So all of that lives inside of your reporting. When somebody signs that document, it is also sent directly to that person. So you know you're covering all of your bases because anytime we sign something, we want that copy. So your end user or your new hire, whoever it might be, will receive the copy of that signature document. And you as the admin will also have direct access to it in your reports as well. So anytime you need to pull those, they are always available to you. They are yours for the taking. A couple other things that I like to note when it comes to e-signature. Every scale plan over here at Trainual gets 25 free e-signatures a month. So that is 25 signatures directly inside of your account on any policy, on any topic that you would like to integrate. So let me show you what that looks like to actually set up. This one's pretty easy because it's a simple click of the button. So I'll head over to my policies and I'm thinking, all right, I think I need an e-signature on this one. So all I'm going to do is pop into this topic here. And from there, I will see this little drop down that says e-signature. So all I have to do is turn this one on. I am not on the right plan, so I cannot turn it on for you today, but I can certainly send an example over afterwards to see what that actually looks like for your end user to actually sign that document. And again, what this will do is take all of your content, put it into one individual document and add that end user signature at the bottom. So everybody has access to that signature directly in your reports, directly sent to that end user as well. All right. Well, I know the plan was for 5, but I appreciate everybody sticking with me for that one extra feature today. I hope that this was useful. I know for a fact that this can really help keep your end users more engaged, maximize your ROI, and really keep everybody on the same page. So I hope that we get these implemented today. And thank you so much for joining me. I appreciate everybody being so engaged in the chat. I am going to pass it back to Jonathan to announce another giveaway.
All right. Thank you, Rachel. I mean,
thank you.
Nobody complains about bonus content, right? So like, awesome. Way to squeeze one in there. Thank you very much. So everybody, I know based on even looking at like the keynote and a lot of stuff that you've seen so far, and then looking at a lot of those tips from Rachel, like, yeah, the editor is going to look different in a month. The library is going to look different, but all that core functionality is the same, right? So just the sooner you can start applying some of these little tips and tricks, the better you are for the future of when the new changes roll out, because you'll just be learning those habits that you can translate into the new experiences in Trainual. So thank you again, Rachel.